Hey everybody, this is Josh, the 99 Know-It-All, coming to you today on Thursday, October 18th, and welcome to Westworld Playoffs, where, yes, that's right, umpire Joe West is making the news again. It's amazing how an umpire can be so popular and so famous and so well known. It should be the opposite. He shouldn't have his name known, but yet here it is again. Last night, in the Astros Red Sox game, you have a ball hit by Altuve going out. It's clearly going over the fence. Mookie Betts makes a leaping try for the ball. Fan hits his glove. It's very obvious. Fan hits his glove, and the ball hits off the fans and bounces back into play, and it is ruled fan interference. And you know, the rule states that if a fan reaches into the playing field and makes contact or disrupts the play, then there is an out. If the player reaches into the seating, into the fans, and is disrupted, made contact with, it is not fan interference. So the question is, was the ball in the field of play still, or was Mookie Betts reaching into the stands? And goodness gracious, I think the biggest thing coming out of this is there were no definitive camera angles on this. How is it in this day and age, when there are cameras all over the place, everywhere, that they don't have one set up along the outfield fence line for this type of call, especially when one of the key reasons why there is instant replay is for home run fan interference calls. If you guys remember back when instant replay first started, the very first instant replay was designed to tell if balls were home runs or not home runs, just like this. And it's amazing that we are into the era of instant replay and they still can't do it right. Still can't get it. Now, there are a lot of calls that get overturned because instant replay is able to show what really happened, slow it down, but it also kind of increases the amount of awareness that some of these umpires just get calls wrong all the time. Some of them don't. Some of them, I have no clue what their names are because they get the calls right, they have good strike zones, and they don't make the news. But here's a situation where, once again, a ball that is on the borderline should have had a camera angle, and honestly, I think the ball was up in the stands. Now, the fans were kind of reaching a little bit, but what also drives me nuts is that here you have another stadium that has the fans right on the edge. There are stadiums where you have an initial wall and kind of a little space, and then the fan wall, where if they do reach out, they're still kind of in their area. They're not quite reaching out to the field. Whatever, this is just, it's mind-boggling that we are here at this day and age, and with all the instant replay years and experience and the purpose for instant replay, and we still have this going on. I personally, I think it was a home run. And yes, do I think that he had a great chance of catching that ball? Yes, I do. Do I think that his glove was into the seating area, into the fan section, which kind of, in essence, makes it fair game? Yes, I do. I think that ball probably should have been a home run. I think that it would have changed the game quite a bit. And, the Astros still had their chance to win. It wasn't like that was the ninth inning chance for a game-winning or game-tying home run. That was the very start of the game, early on. But it's a game changer. It changed the outlook of the game, changed the perception of what was going on. It impacted it in a big way. That was 2 runs that should have been scored. So, I don't know. This playoff has gotten really crazy. It was so good. The first round, even the wild card and the play-in games, they were so good. They were so much fun. And there wasn't this big controversy. And now, all of a sudden, you have Astros cheating. You have, Manny Machado being a douchebag. You have this horrible call, at least this horrible situation. Let's call that a horrible situation where a camera angle put at the right angle just down the fence line would have solved the issue, would have solved it in a heartbeat. But a lot of people are saying Major League Baseball just doesn't want to touch certain things like this. They're not going to punish the Astros, which blows my mind. They're not going to, overturn a home run call. And you know what? I don't believe in conspiracies. I don't think that Major League Baseball is going out of their way to get LA and Boston in a World Series against each other. But stuff like this kind of opens them up for this kind of scrutiny, these kind of statements, these kind of comments and thoughts. And it hurts. It hurts the game of baseball, and they got to find a way to make the decision to either do instant replay the right way or just get rid of it. And I don't want them to get rid of it necessarily, but I'm kind of leaning towards that at the moment, just because of how there's a play that should have had good camera angles, should have had all the information they needed, and they didn't have it. And New York couldn't make the change. And it's the same thing with strike zones and having automated balls and strikes called through technology. I don't want that. I really don't want that. But at the same time, the way I'm seeing some of these umpires call balls and strikes, it's kind of winning me over. The argument to have just the computer and the new technology call balls and strikes, it's kind of pulling me in that direction more and more. Each game I see where the umpires, there's a few calls that are close, and a borderline call is one thing, but there's a few calls where you're like, how is that even called that way? A ball that's way low and outside called a strike, a ball that's almost down the heart of the plate called a ball. This is getting to me. It's frustrating me that this game is either going to go all in with technology and get it right, which they're not doing with instant replay, or they're going to go with the human element all the way and just do that. And I'm not sure I'm with that either. So I'm up in the air. It's tough for me right now to figure out what's going on. What I would love to see, LA and Boston in a World Series. I think it'd be huge number of people watching the games. But at the same time, I think the Brewers and the Astros would be fun to watch too. They're exciting teams that that draw interest. They're good for the game. So I don't know. This is interesting for me because I was so excited for the playoffs, so excited for how things were going. And then just in a matter of 2-3 days, my complexion of the whole playoffs has changed. Once again, like I said in yesterday's show, you have the cheaters, you have the dirty players, and now you have the bad umpires. Now we've already had a deal with, I think Angel Hernandez with his 3 missed calls in one game, and gosh, he's got to go. I don't care what his nationality is, he's got to go. He's made this big lawsuit saying that he's not able to work in the playoffs because he's part Cuban. And the truth is, he's just not very good. He's just not very good. West is not very good. Both those guys hurt the game. They're not good for the game. Major League Baseball has to find a way to say, you know what, time for you guys to retire, move on. Let's get some new young talent in the umpiring ranks. There's a lot of young, umpires in minor league baseball who do a great job. And I don't care what their nationality is, their background. If they get the calls right and they control the game without being the focal point of the game, then they're all it for me. I love it. That's perfect. And I've seen, once again, I go to minor league baseball games all the time, and there are umpires who do that. Umpires who do a tremendous job, and they deserve the chance to go up and do it at the major league level and get rid of these guys who can't do it. I know there's a umpires union and all that, but there has to be some way. There has to be some way where they can show that these guys make so many mistakes with balls and strikes, they get in so many arguments with players, with coaches, that they become a disruption and a negative to the game of baseball. Got to figure this out. Got to figure out instant replay. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is completely. They've got to go all in or not at all. And there should be cameras, once again, aiming down the fence lines. It's not that hard. You need one on the first base side aiming towards center field, one on the third base side aiming towards center field, and really that's what you need. And then you have the rest of the cameras you already have, there's not going to be fan interference in center field because there's no seats right there because they just have the batter's eye. You just need that right field and left field taken care of where there are fans, and it doesn't seem that difficult. Doesn't seem to be that difficult, but yet here we are. We're arguing about it. I've seen countless Twitter debates, which, first of all, a debate on Twitter is useless. But you see, I'm sure, if you watched ESPN or MLB or any of the sports stations this morning on the talk shows or the radio shows, I'm sure that's one of the key things they talked about. I didn't watch anything this morning, didn't hear anything this morning, mainly because I have other things to do and worry about. But I'm going to guess that was one of the key topics. I'm willing to bet that outside of talking NFL on a Thursday morning, that home run call was probably the most talked about thing in baseball. So they got to figure it out. Got to figure out the umpires. Get the good umpires in there. Get them situated. Get them for the World Series. Because if these type of issues come up in the World Series, I promise you, baseball will feel the pain in the next couple of years because of it. You've got to have good World Series. You got to have a clean World Series. I mean, that doesn't mean there isn't fight, things like that. Because honestly, I think a fight in the World Series would get a lot of people to watch. But you can't have umpire issues. You can't have replay issues. You can't have that type of stuff. You've got to have a World Series that is decided on the field. And, even at this point, you got to have an NLCS and an ALCS that's decided on the field and not in the replay booth. It's got to be figured out. Got to figure out today. I don't care if they have to, add cameras in today to all the stadiums so you get it right for the rest of the playoffs. You've got to do something. You've got to take action in Major League Baseball, because if you don't, it's going to be tough for people who are even diehard fans like myself to keep defending you, to keep, trying to push fans to go watch baseball games at the Major League level. Now, I'll always tell people to go watch college, go watch summer league, go watch minor league, go watch high school ball. But watching Major League Baseball, even though the baseball at that level is amazing, it's top of the line, it's the best, you know what? You can have just as much fun watching the lower levels. A lot cheaper, a lot more enjoyable, a lot less of a hassle, for a lot of different things. So Major League Baseball, you got to get it figured out. Got to get it figured out, or your attendance will drop again. And if it does, it puts you in a world of hurt. It just does, and figure it out. Well, guys, once again, welcome to Westworld Playoffs, where Joe West is the king of the hill, which is crazy to think. But he really is the attention getter, and that's not good for baseball. Instant replay, not looking too good for baseball, and I don't know, they got to figure things out. So guys, I'm Josh. I'm the 9-inning know-it-all. Have a good day. I'm going to do a couple more videos, not live, but recorded, talking about the Arizona Fall League, talking about fall ball, watching college baseball, and things like that. And then also just starting to get ready for Hot Stove. It is almost time. I don't want to jump the gun. World Series hasn't come yet, but I'm excited for this year's Hot Stove. I think it's going to be crazy. You got some big names out there. It's going to be interesting to see if things happen like last year, where there was no free agency action for a while, or if things are going to go quick and really heat up. So guys, have a good day, and I'm sure I will see you guys later.